All right, 2.6 factoring, and these are perfect square trinomials. Perfect, yeah, perfect square trinomials. Some of you might be 16 years old. You're a perfect square right now. It's a beautiful thing.
I am not a perfect square anymore.
So our perfect square, our first term was x squared. So if we square root both sides, then our a value is x. And then our b squared, our last term, is 9. When we square root both sides, we get b equal to 3. So the question mark is our middle term double these, double the product of these two? So we're going to do 2ab equals 2 times x times 3. So that's 6x. Since these two match, check, we can simply write this as x plus 3 squared. And that's our factored form. Somebody asked, could I have gone, oh, that's a 9, that's my c value, that's my b value. What are two numbers that multiply to get 9 and add to get 6? It's 3 and 3. And then I have x plus 3 times x plus 3, and that simplifies to x plus 3 squared. Yes, absolutely. You can do it that way.
So that's the easier way?
This is the easier way. Once we...
I don't like I know it's obviously shorter, but I don't like that.
That's okay. Not everyone loves perfect squares like I do. It's okay. Number 2. You notice there's a big difference here. For number 2, there's a minus sign. And so it's important to know that we could also do these if they are a squared minus 2ab plus b squared factors into a minus b squared. And so we're going to do a few more. We're going to do a few more. So we look at this first term and we go 4b squared. 4 is a perfect square, b squared is a perfect square, the whole thing's a perfect square. This is a perfect square. And then I look at my last term, 25. That's a perfect square.
That's a perfect square.
So I'm going, this might be real easy to factor. Okay? So what is the square root of this first term? This square root, we're going to call that a for the sake of this pattern. We're going to call that a. The square root of 4b squared is 2b. And the square root of 25, 5. So hopefully we're going to be able to write this as 2b, remember there's a minus sign here, minus 5 squared. That's our hope. We'd be done. We just have to double check this middle term and make sure this middle term fits the pattern. And so we go, okay, what's this times 2? What's 2ab? 2ab would be to multiply 2 times 2b times 5. 2 times 2 is 4, times 5 is 20, 20b. Check. It works. So this is the correct factored form.
I have a question. Okay, so you know how you do it the other way? You get like the two answers, and they're the same answer, but then you take whatever is in the parentheses, or outside of the parentheses, and put it in the parentheses next to it. So what is it?
So what would be the 2?
Yeah.
This would be, you would, in the end, you would find 2b minus 5, 2b minus 5. Those would be the two that you would find.
Oh, so you can't. Oh,
And then you can simplify it and write it like this, 2b quantity squared. We'll do a couple more together, and then I'll have you work out one on your own. But don't worry, there's lots to practice on the front. By the end of this, you're going to be like, this is easier. I do love perfect squares. Okay, next one, 4r squared, square root of that is going to be our a value, so it's just 2r. Square root of 9 is 3. Double check. 2 times 2r times 3. Again, that goes back to this pattern. Why is it times 2? Because there's a 2 here. Every time you're multiplying the a and the b times 2. So we get 2 times 2 is 4 times 3 is 12. 12r. Yep, check. It works. So I can write this as 2r minus, don't forget it's a minus, 3. Quantity squared. It takes a few seconds. Number 4. Square root of 9r squared.
3r.
3r, good. Square root of 16. 4. Double check that 24r is this times 2, so 2 times 3r times 4. 2 times 3 is 6, times 4 is 24, so 24r, yes, that works. So 3r plus 4 squared. Now if you compare this to what you would be doing if you made your t-chart and we multiplied 9 times 16 on the left and 24 on the right, and we tried to find the two terms, and then we split the middle, and then we factored by grouping, you can start to see how this does actually go a little faster. All right, try number 3 on your own.
number 5.
Mm-hmm. Try number 5 on your own. I see a lot of people that have already gotten this one correct. Let's just double check. The first term is a perfect square. The last term is a perfect square. So A would be 5n. B would be 3. Square root of 9 is 3. And we double check what's 2 times 5n times 3. 30n, yes. So I'm good to go. 5n minus, I think that would be the one place people might have made a mistake. Make sure it's a minus sign there. Squared. I'm going to have you do some practice on numbers 6 through 10 on your own, but first I want to double check that on the back we all remember the pattern for when we have a perfect square minus a perfect square. So whenever we have a squared minus b squared, that factors into a plus b, a minus b. There was one like this. I think it was the last question on your assignment yesterday. And some people forgot that. Makes it a whole lot easier. In this case, it has to be a minus sign. There's no option of a squared plus b squared. So our a value here would be p. Square root of p squared is p. Our b value here would be 5. So we could factor this into p plus 5. Yep, p minus 5. And so you have practice on that on 11 through 16. And then 17 to 22, that goes back to the split the middle method. Some extra practice on that split the middle method.